welcome. I'm Daniel G. Garza, and this is a very special episode of Put It Together live stream. I want to welcome all of our friends watching us on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Thank you for watching and sharing this on your page. To all our friends on YouTube, please do me a favor, scroll down, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. It'll let you know every time there's a new show. And remember, we got shows pretty much all week long. Got Wednesday, Christian and Daniel. On Fridays, the Cardivo. On Saturdays, our regular episodes Put It Together. And then Mondays, we throw in our horoscopes and special shows like today. So you want to be notified whenever something new comes up. Remember that our shows are live streams and you can replay them later. So make sure that you share them and watch them. But if you're here right now, you have the opportunity to be part of the conversation, so you can ask questions and be part of it. So remember that. Today's episode, I'm really excited that I was able to, first of all, remember to put these together, because sometimes I forget about the dates, but I had this one on my schedule. Today is International Women's Day, and our topic today is women in business. For those of you that have known me for a long time know that for most of my life, I've been surrounded by very strong women, starting with my mother, my two sisters. They're all very powerful, strong ladies. My mom worked as long as I can remember, up until she got sick back in like 2007. And most of the females that I know now are entrepreneurs. They lead high positions in management, in office, and corporations, work side by side with me in different environments. So I have a high respect for women. Let me read this to you. This is a little blurb that came up of the women's page. International Women's Day is celebrated. Where is it? International Women's Day is a global holiday celebrated annually on March 8th to commemorate the cultural, political, and socioeconomic achievements of women. It is also a focal point in the women's rights movement, bringing attention to issues such as gender equality, reproductive rights, and violence and abuse against women. By the latest calculations, there are more than 12.3 million female entrepreneurs in the United States. The percentage of female business owners in 2018 increased by 31 since the first time the US Census Bureau provided data on minority-owned and women-owned businesses in 1972. So there's just a little bit of information for you guys. For our first guest, I have two guests today, and I'm very excited because I've known them both for a while. My first guest today is Ana Maria Wendia, is 36 years old, and she is originally from Colombia. She moved to Los Angeles when she was 10 years old and has lived here most of her adult life. She states that her mindset, habits, and heart are deeply ingrained with her Colombian culture. She is perfectly fluent in both English and Spanish, and this has helped her tremendously in her career. She graduated from CSULB as a theater performance major, and she credits her entrepreneurial, I should wear my glasses when I'm reading, and she credits her entrepreneurial mindset on her desires to connect with others and create positive change to her professors and the skills that she was taught in pursuit of her craft. She is the founder of Metamorphosis Marketing Group in Los Angeles, and she has been in business since 2019. Her biggest professional goal is to use all her work as a form of activism in which she can connect with others and leave a positive footprint in their lives. Her biggest passion continues to be theater performance, and she often utilizes the skills learned through this craft to conduct and bring creativity to all her business projects. Let me bring her in and say hi really quick. Hi, Ana Maria.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. Thank you for having me, Daniel. Super excited to be here.
My pleasure. Ana Maria and I met at StubHub.
Yes. 2013.
It's been a while. We were doing an event for the soccer team for Galaxy and taking photos. I was at a photo booth.
Exactly. It was a photo booth experience, experiential marketing. It was a ton of fun, and it actually ran for 5 years.
Wow. So I got to work 1 year, almost a whole year of that. So, but I just remember you just running around and just, like, she's bossy. I like her. I want to be her friend.
Yes.
But I'm so excited here. I'm going to tell this story because it's so cute. There were some issues going on. We won't go into the issues part, but there were some issues going on like early on when we met, and you were not on Facebook, and your mom was, and your mom sent me a message, and I was like, who is this lady? And we were communicating through your mom on Messenger and getting the information back and forth. So that was so cute. And I was like, hey, anybody who has their mom support like that, like I want to be her friend.
Yes.
So glad you're here. And we're going to hear more about you in just a second. Let me introduce our second guest today. She is a regular to the show. She's been on the show several times. She's a friend, a really good friend of ours, one of our dearest friends, Martha Armandi. She is the CEO of Martha Armandi Inc., has been operating since 2014. Her company specializes in bookkeeping, paralegal services, and tax preparation. For those of you that need tax help right now, the company's mission statement is giving people peace of mind in a stressful world. She has built her expertise in the industries over the years. On her off time, she loves adventuring or just relaxing with her dog, Bella. And I laugh because talking about women working, she's actually on the road to go work and doing the podcast today. So she's working it while she's working it. Hey, Martha.
Hi. Yes, but I'm not driving, so.
Yes, for those of you wondering, she is not driving today. She's at somebody else. She's got a driver today. That's how Martha operates. I have a show to do. Somebody drive for me. One thing that I noticed, and of course I would notice this, is that they wore the same colors. Like it was so.
That's right.
Yes, like this was not planned, folks. And well, for those of you, I'm wearing my Wonder Woman. Power color, yeah. And I'm wearing my Wonder Woman t-shirt today.
Oh, I love it.
Kind of goes with the color.
Yes, it does have some red in there, so we kind of match. So as I was reading, and one of the reasons that I chose both of y'all to be on the show is because I've admired, first of all, your professionalism, your passion, but the way that you've each grown your brand over the years. I'm going to go with Anna Maria first. When did you first think about your business, and how did you first put it together?
So I started really seriously thinking about it in 2018. So I've always been a workaholic. I love to work. I love to make money, but more than that, I like to inspire change, and I like to make sure that my work has purpose. And I started realizing at some point, I'm working, I'm making great money, but I'm not really, it's not my own project. So in 2018, I started thinking, I really got to put all this energy into my own work, into my own business, because, I'm really busy, yes, making money, but making another brand and another business money. So I remember I woke up one day and I said, I'm just going to quit all my employee work. I'm just going to quit. I'm just going to make a website. I'm going to really sit down and narrow down my purpose. And I think I created my page in like 2 hours from my bed. I woke up and I said, I'm going to create a website today. I'm going to start networking. I'm going to put in my 2 weeks. And I'm, of course, very grateful for the opportunities I had, but I really, wanted to start having more say in my work and my schedule. And so that's how it started. It was just, it went from a thought to action. It was actually just doing everything that I had, planned in my head. And I started reconnecting with prior clients that I had and people that I had networked with, and really just started putting myself out there and offering my services. And, it took a while. It was about like a year before I really started making income with the business, but it really was so fulfilling for me. And it felt so great to know I can really do this. I mean, I knew I was good, with my other projects when I was working for other companies. But it's a scary thing to put yourself out there and really be the one that takes the risk, business wise. So, it started as a thought, and I knew that I had the skill set to make it happen, and I just went for it.
That's really cool, because I think there's a constant among entrepreneurs and people who, like myself, are like, okay, well, if nobody's going to give me a chance, I'm going to do it. And I think that's the one of the common threads is I was investing in somebody else's dream, right, and I had to start investing in mine. Now, for the folks that were watching about a month ago, we had the tax day special episode. And for those of you that remember, Martha's our tax lady. Remind folks, Martha, how how was that transition for you when you were like, you know what, I'm gonna like put myself out there?
Well, with me, it was a little different because I work with different attorneys. So it was something where um, going out on my own allowed me to work with different attorneys, get the benefit of doing the work, getting the experience, and kind of revolving it around what I needed it to be. So it was difficult initially because you have to hustle, you have to get your income to come in. You can't just sit back and put in the hours. You have to always be looking on forward, your forward mark, your next month, your month after that. How you're going to bring in money then. And so it was a little difficult to start off, but it's always a win when you can make your monthly bills, right? So, at the initial stages of it, and I started my corporation back in 2014, it was really difficult to actually do it, full time. And I was kind of scattered everywhere, and I was working 20 hours out of the 24 hours, it seemed like. So, because there was always something else that needed to be done and somewhere else that you needed attention at. And so over the time, I learned how to work smarter, not harder. And it's been a little bit of a path, and for me, because I am a workaholic and I tend to want to work all the time. And I'm like, stop, you need a life. Stop.
For
So,
the for those of you joining in, this is not a meeting of Workaholics Anonymous. Just so you know, because we're going to be but that's another thing. Like in the manual of Be Your Own Boss, it it doesn't say you're going to work more because people don't realize that
no,
going
no,
after your own dream is more hours, expensive to start your own business, and there's no delegating to anybody. Does that make sense?
Yep.
yeah,
Absolutely.
it's just you. And when things are behind or when things need to get done, who's going to put in that midnight hours? You, and for a little while it was, I'm going to tell you, it probably wasn't the first year or even the second year where I said, I'm working all the time. What is going on? I mean, on vacations, I'd be taking my laptop with me and still working. I'm like, is it a vacation or is it just a change of scenery? So, it's really hard. I'm going to say my first real vacation where I really didn't open my laptop except one little time, and I do say except one time, was when actually this year. Most of the time, my vacations are working vacations. I take my laptop. There's always something that comes up, especially with the attorney offices. There's always some kind of catastrophe. Someone's losing their house. You need to do this ASAP, or they're going to lose their house in an hour. So there I am, trying to make sure, people are safe, that they don't lose, their most prized possession. At least that's what they always feel. I always tell them it's just the house, but I guess when you're going through it, it's not just the house, right? It's part of your family, upbringing and what you raise your kids in and your security. So, I get it on that, but yeah, it's really hard to disconnect.
And Ana Maria, when you first started that first job, because I remember my first big gig in promotions. For those of you, I know you know all of the other stuff, but I'm also in promotions and marketing. But I kind of just come in when, like, I think they come to me when they can't find anybody else to take the job. I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. And then I realized, oh, I didn't know it was that job.
Right.
Do you remember your first job, Ana Maria? And like, was there a realization like, oh, I didn't know I was supposed to do this? Or does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Well, my very first job, it happened right around when my very first big job, I'll say, because I had smaller jobs, so it was a little bit easier and it was manageable. I've been in marketing for 10 years. So I kind of knew how to run the show, and I'd helped manage other companies as well. But my very first one where it was like, oh, this is big, we had a presentation and it was going to be a great program, actually got shut down because COVID happened. And so it was like, how do I manage all of this? I have people booked. I have all of this work that we've put in. I have product at my house. And it was just a bit chaotic, like to learn how to manage that. But it really, situations like that really teach me that, hey, life is on life's terms sometimes, and you have to just roll with the punches, be professional, do your best. And it did teach me that I've learned to take care of my team first and foremost. So I do have clients, of course, I have different clients, but I've learned the importance of really keeping it together with internally in-house, So sometimes I feel like with companies, they're very concerned with what the client thinks or, just preserving that relationship. But sometimes we forget to really cater to those people who support our business, our team, the contractors that I work with. And so, there were times where I was like, I don't know what the right move is, how to communicate to my contractors or what to do and stay within, first of all, like ethical practice and then legal practice, of course. So, there's definitely a lot of like, oops, and, learn as you go, when you start your own business. So, I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the good, for the bad, and it's all for the better in the end.
Yeah, I remember my very first job, and I know this isn't about me, it's about Women's Day, but I remember, for those of you watching and taking some business notes, I remember my very first big job, I forgot to pay myself. I did everybody's timesheets, and I calculated in the budget everybody's hours, except for my hours. I budgeted my fee for working, but not my hours. And I was like, how did I not get paid? No wonder everybody else got paid so much. So for those of you out there, you're welcome. Okay, so let's get into really the conversation because we are celebrating women, and we are celebrating the amount of work that women do actually in the workforce. But as far as legal and marketing and promotions, it's still very much it's a boys club. How have y'all, and whoever wants to go first, how have you overcome that? Because, and I'm going to put this disclaimer for everybody out there. The questions I'm asking are devil's advocate questions. I have full respect for these ladies, but I have seen it where the female voice is not taken into consideration or not acknowledged. And when you do step out of that zone, men will either call you naggy or bitchy. And it's like, no, they're just like, if I was saying that, I would be respected, but they're saying that and you're treating them like that. How has it been in each of your fields to break through that barrier?
For myself, I definitely have experienced that tug of war of, I'll say men, and, this could be for women too, but particularly men who are business owners who have been clients of mine that have really tried to push the boundary of, oh, well, I have these other companies that have these rates, or, so-and-so can do this. And I've had to get really good at being, having boundaries, but being tactful. So, right, keeping it professional, but still really being clear about my boundaries and my worth. And so, it's very easy, or for me, I can speak for myself, when you start a new business to really get anxious about like, can I do this? Am I good enough to do this? Am I better? How do I compare, right, to other companies? And I really had to sit down and have a conversation with myself and really kind of highlight the importance of having boundaries with clients. And I noticed that particularly with male clients, they do treat me differently. So if I have, for example, a male representative, there's a different rapport and a different energy. And I've really had to kind of step up and say, hey, these are my terms, these are my boundaries, and I deliver. So I don't talk the talk, I walk the walk. And by having that energy and really presenting that, I think it makes all the difference because, male or female, if you're a business owner and you're a leader, then you're a leader, and everybody deserves equal recognition and respect. But we do have these like preconceptions that, and it's not even sometimes conscious, people just have this idea of how they treat people based on their gender or their ethnicity sometimes. And so I have really found kind of my approach to be successful. And it's more like, hey, these are my boundaries. This is what I'm worth, and it's not going to change. So I very easily am okay with letting something go if I don't feel that I'm getting the recognition or respect that I deserve. And it's worked out for me.
Got you. How about for you, Martha?
Well, for me, most of the people that I have are word of mouth. So, I deal with a lot of, obviously attorneys in the field, and it's been one attorney that actually will, recommend to someone else. And so another attorney will start, using my services. So, but to get to that point, yeah, you do have to go through some, unsavory people. And I'm going to tell you, working with, court appointed people, attorneys, they have a tendency to talk down to, especially if you're a woman and you seem like you're below them, right? Then they want to talk down to you. And, I have found that, you can still be professional and stern and not accept that and say, no, that's not okay to talk to me like that. If you're going to dish it out, I'm going to dish it out back with respect, but you can't disrespect someone. Just answer the question and go forward with it. And and I find that actually gets them to respect you a little more because you stood up for yourself versus just taking it.
Yeah.
So
I feel like
it's a little different, I think, than because I'm working in with attorneys and with offices in that capacity. It's a little different as far as dealing with the general public, I would say, or companies that can sit there and try to undermine you, right? Like, oh, well, we can get it for cheaper over here, and it's like, okay, well, I mean, go there then, and call me when they screw it up.
I think that's one of the cool things, like for both of you, because I know you, like, your stuff, and you don't have to get to that point where you're like, listen to me, I'm a lady, but listen to me. You're like, look, I know my stuff. You hear me saying the stuff, and I'm right. So I can just walk away. You get somebody else that doesn't know the stuff. And
yeah,
but I know it's in a different but parallel universe. As a gay man, sometimes in men dominated environments, I'm still put in that space like, well, you're a gay guy, what do you know? And I'm like, I still carry the boxes, dude. Like, I still hustle like everybody else. Like, I know my stuff. I've been doing this for 14 years. Like, I know my stuff.
Right.
Being gay does not mean I lose all my memory of everything that I've done for the last 14 years. So I get you. And then you add to this the minority factor, like being Latinos. Sometimes, for those of you watching, if you're not an entrepreneur or business owner, some people will put you in those hierarchies, and they'll see you Latino, and they're like, I can pull one over on you. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah, definitely does. And I think, fortunately for me, I'm actually in a position, now where if someone isn't playing well, then it's like, okay, well, thank you, thank you for your time, and, let's part ways. Let's agree to part ways, and, good luck in the future, because since I don't work for a corporation, I don't have to just take it because someone else is telling me to take it. If it doesn't work, then it doesn't work, and that's okay. Find someone who it'll work with, and then, and we'll part ways. There's no malice, there's no anger, there's no reason to be, right? Why ruin your energy in your world because, someone annoys you?
But raise your hand if you don't walk away from those sometimes and you're like, gay sick. Like, but then you're like, Don't let them see you turn around. Don't turn around. Keep walking. No.
Keep walking. Go.
Yeah.
You're like, hang up the phone and don't. Just hang up the phone. Don't. We have a question on the board for y'all. And how do you handle, I believe that's male chauvinism. So how do you deal as women in the business world? How do you deal with some person trying to, like, when I say names, trying to pull out one on you?
Trying to belittle you because you're a woman?
Yeah, basically.
I mean, honestly, you can still be respectful and stand up for yourself. And if, you don't stand up for yourself, who is? This is your company. This is, what you do. You're good at what you do, obviously, because you're in your business, right? So you stand up for yourself. And, and if they continue, then again, you really have to either see where they're at in the company and the structure of the company. And if they're higher ups, maybe you don't want to work with that company anymore.
How about you?
People will get away with whatever they can get away with. I mean, honestly, they will. So if they are being chauvinistic, you're not going to be the first person that they're chauvinistic with. And if you don't stand up for yourself, then they're going to continue it and they're going to think it's okay because you allowed it. Bad behavior is bad behavior. Whether you are 2, 42, 52, 62, it don't matter. You still have that 2 in there.
And for everybody watching, especially it's dedicated to the females today, but if a gentleman crosses that line with you, he's done it with other people, and he continues to do it because he gets away with it. How about you, Ana Maria? How do you handle moments like that?
I don't deal with it. I'm very, everybody that knows me knows I have a very strong personality, and I do know the balance between, like, okay, professionalism, and then when I'm, just in my personal time, but I absolutely don't deal with that. I mean, and you could just see it in my face. I don't even have to say anything. Recently, the past year, I had a situation where I was working with a gentleman who was very much that, and I just looked at him and said, I am, not your peon. I am not below you. I do not get spoken to in that way ever. And I don't work with people like you. And I'm done. And it was, a lot of people looked at me like it was a great opportunity. It was projects that were in the $1 million projects. And to me, it's like my self-respect and my mission in life and who I really am is more important. So I absolutely don't give it time. If I feel like something is toxic or negative energy or not professional, I walk away from it immediately. I don't give it time to grow. I don't give it I don't go, oh, well, maybe they'll change. No, to me, it's like the way that you treat other people and the way you treat me is everything to me. It doesn't matter, how many millions we're talking about or what projects we're talking about. I really think ethics are important. And so I just, I don't deal with it because if I were to deal with it, it wouldn't be in the best way. So I know myself and I say, Anna, you really, if it's not healthy, then I need to walk away.
Vámonos mejor. Vámonos. Yeah, and for everybody for watching, like if you're dealing with the boss at that level of a boss and they're acting that way, it's really not a company you want to be associated with. And right. If you're working with somebody in the lower and they're treating you that way, I would say this in my personal experience: 7 times out of 10, the boss doesn't know that they're acting that way. And a good email goes a long way. Just giving you a heads up on that. We have another question for y'all. Is being multicultural and bilingual helpful to your business? Ana Maria, you want to take this one first?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially in the Los Angeles area, LA market, we have, a huge Hispanic market. I'm Colombian, so I speak English and Spanish, and it's been extremely helpful, especially with marketing. It's like, companies do have different approaches depending on what product they're offering and depending on the demographics. And so I think it's really helpful, or for me, it's been really helpful to understand how to market to my own community, right? Because it is completely different. I mean, we're all equal, but we all have different upbringings, different ideas. We connect differently. If somebody, speaks Spanish, but maybe they're not as comfortable with English, they're going to connect more with someone who speaks their first language. And so I have definitely found that it's helpful. And yeah, I mean, that translates into dollars as well. Sometimes I can charge more because I'm fully bilingual, and, I can provide a bilingual staff. And so it's definitely been beneficial to me personally.
And before Martha answers, I want to tell everybody, being spiritual and having a good energy does not mean that you don't want to make the dollar. Just to clarify, they coexist. I can be spiritual and still have to run my business. Somebody's got to pay the rent, and if it works. So how about you, Martha? How does being multicultural, bilingual help you?
Well, I mean, it helps in connecting with the attorneys' clients. A lot of times the attorneys, they don't always speak, the language. They don't speak Spanish. They don't speak, they don't speak human, sometimes because attorneys, well, they use big words, and big words scare people. I mean, that's the reality. I like to be like, no, it's not scary at all, but big words scare people. They don't understand them. So, I mean, it's definitely helped me in, communicating with people, getting them to the level to where they feel comfortable with an office or an attorney, or going a certain direction, because now they understand the whole reasoning behind it. I'm that person that believes full disclosure, explain everything, even if it seems a little redundant, because people don't want to sound ignorant, and they don't want people to assume they're ignorant. So they're less likely to ask questions, especially minority people. They ask probably the least amount of questions and don't understand the process the most. So I feel if I just go across everything, as if I would want someone to explain it to me, that they're more thankful that not only do they understand what's going on in their own language, but two, that they understand what the process is, so that they don't feel like they are going to come across being ignorant, or that someone's going to maybe, talk down to them. No one wants to be talked down to. That's just, disrespectful across the board. So, I give them that, I guess, that level of respect, and, at a time that, is sometimes a very difficult time for them, either financially or, medically, or whatever the case happens to be with their situation. So I find that it brings comfort to people. So it's, to me, it means a lot to me, because I can bring comfort to, basically my culture, right?
Yep.
Who doesn't want to do that?
Yeah. And knowing both of the services they provide, I can tell you that, not just because I've worked in those environments, but because I'm a client or like customer. Like if you're dealing with important information, somebody who is monolingual Spanish wants to be able to ask questions when it comes to taxes or bankruptcies. But people don't realize this, because I've been in promotions for so long. When you're working an event at whatever venue you are, and you're giving away free things, and there's a parent with a child, and to have the parent ask you in Spanish, "Es gratis?" Is it free? And you're like, "Sí, sí, pásale, pásale." It just brightens up their eyes that they feel part of, and that is because my parents were monolingual. It does a difference. And let me tell you, they not only remember the brand, but they'll remember your face. Because I've had people come up to me in different jobs, go, "Pues no vendías cocas, like you weren't giving away cokes." I'm like, "Yeah, what do you get those Doritos?" Okay, well here, but they'll remember you. So if you're a business person, tap into that. By the way, reminding everybody, you're watching Put It Together Special Edition. Today we're talking with two special ladies in the Business World International Women's Day, Women in Business. We have Ana Maria and Martha. And I want to thank all of you for joining and asking questions. We have another question on the board for you. How do you handle conflicts with your staff? Ooh.
Yeah. And it is. Yeah.
I mean, for me, I mean, my staff is usually, you know, not necessarily, I don't have a lot of staff. And I don't usually have a lot of conflict. You know, I mean, again, it comes down to, you know, things that need to be done and deadlines that need to be met, you know, and it's you do it or you don't. And, you know, I'm always very clear about, you know, kind of everyone has their little pet peeves, right? What my pet peeves are, you know, and if you're not going to get to something in a deadline that I've given you, then let me know, because if I need to step in, the deadline doesn't change. But if I need to step in, I need to know as quickly as possible. So I try not to have a conflict with any kind of staff or anyone, you know, really. I mean, we're all adults, you know, we're all here to, you know, to do a specific thing. So if you can't get it done in the time I've allotted, then just let me know. I mean, I'm not going to have a major issue. Now, if it's consistent, then yeah, it becomes an issue. And, you know, and it becomes, okay, well, this isn't the right fit for you because I need to be able to depend on someone.
Right. And for you, Ana Maria?
Communication. I'm very big on communicating right away if something comes up with the various people that I work with. I mean, I've had people lose it on an event and just, you know, I've had to manage that in the most professional way possible. And I err on the side of, you know, let's find a solution. I really try not to get caught up on, you know, back and forth, you know, negative communication, because it's not productive, especially when we're, you know, in a professional realm. You really have to be careful, you know. And so I always treat people the way that I would want to be treated. And I try not to put any energy out there that makes somebody feel unheard or not valued. And so the times that I've had conflict, it's been, you know, ego, you know, people thinking, well, you know, I should be paid more than everybody else, or, you know, I can show up late and so what?
Don't you know who I am?
Don't you know who I am? I'm an actor. You know, I mean, I have, it's different personalities, and I communicate. I am honest, but I'm very respectful. So I really always try to speak to others with respect, you know, letting them know I hear their point, and being very honest about, you know, if something isn't working out, and it's been fine, you know, where it's been uncomfortable, but we've been able to come to the conclusion of, hey, things need to change, improve, or this is just not a good fit. But I think respectful communication is always the best way to deal with conflict.
Yeah. And having had employees under promotions, you were dealing sometimes with just maybe 5 people. Sometimes you're dealing with 200 people. That's 200 different personalities. And to try to have them all do, it's like kittens in a box, people. That's what we have another question on the board. And thank you, Jim, for asking all these questions. Really appreciate you being part of the conversation. Victoria is asking, what advice would you give to young people who want to start their own business?
Ooh, that's a great question. I would say that you really have to have a definite purpose. I think that you have to understand what you want to start and why, right? I always, you know, think like, you know, we're all creative human beings. Some people express that, some people don't. But I think really having a specific concept and a plan is important, because you can have a wonderful idea, but if you don't put that into action, it will not happen, right? So my biggest piece of advice, or what I've learned personally for me, is to just do it. Become the doer, right? Because we could talk all day about what we want to do and our dreams, but we don't step forward to make it happen. And so often it's because we're afraid we're going to fail. But if you fail, you fail. You can get back up and try again. So I would say really, you know, put in the work, and don't be afraid to to put your idea out there. Most of the time, for me, I've had ideas where people go, "You're crazy. That's not going to work." Or, "How are you going to do that?" Or, "Can you really make that much money?" Yeah, you can do it. It's just a matter of really being, I think, specific and having a plan so that you can follow a path.
Cool. Martha?
Well, I would say, find something that you enjoy doing or that you are definitely good at, and hustle. I mean, at the end of the day, you're going to need to hustle. So if you want to start your own business, you have to be able to not only hustle, but continue to hustle month after month until you make it till you make it, right? You hustle until you get to the point of where you have a reputation and you don't need to hustle, maybe not quite as hard because your reputation precedes you. And but without that hustle and that drive, you're kind of just a person that you're going to be a one-man show for quite a while.
Yeah.
So, and even if you are a one-man show, you may not be able to pay your bills with your one-man show for quite a while. So.
We've all learned that the hard way, haven't we?
We all do, right? When we start, we're all just looking to pay our bills, and anything above that is like just golden.
Yeah, because frijoles con arroz gets tiring after a while, so just make sure. One thing that I can say, from what we are saying from your answers, is COVID was the birth of creativity for a lot of people. So many people that lost their jobs and didn't have anything to do, and were like, well, I bake cupcakes, I'm going to start a business. Or I sew, I'm going to start a business. I mean, I know just from the promotional world how many people launched their businesses. And for those of you watching, we think our ideas are very unique, but there is somebody else out there who's thinking the same idea. Mm-hmm. So before they do it, you do it first. So,
yeah. Well, I can tell you, Facebook links a lot of people nowadays. There's Facebook advertisement in my area where a lady makes homemade flour tortillas. Ooh. And it's like, okay, well, is that easy to make? Of course, anyone can do it, but who has time to do it? Nobody. Yeah. And it's like, so yeah, people have gone creative. I mean, and I'm sure she is fantastic at it, and it probably takes her no time. It would take me forever, but it probably takes her no time because she does it all the time. So, I mean, and honestly, that's all you need. You need something that you really enjoy doing, that you're good at doing, and hustle. There's so many different ways to hustle nowadays. Before in 2014, what hustle was, is to have enough reputation for people to, to talk about it, to other people, and to get any kind of marketing or anything like that done. Nowadays, everyone has a social media. That's your hustle right there.
Yeah. That has been, I mean, I can say this from experience, because the Card Devo, doing my readings and doing getting on TikTok during 2021, I pretty much was on TikTok every morning for like 6 months promoting myself. And then I was like, okay, let that linger with people. And that's how people started coming to me. But yes, those are great. We have another question for you. Thank you so much, everybody who's asking questions. What is the best way to motivate your employees? I'll start with Anna Maria on this one.
Ooh, I love motivating those that I work with. I, implement things like bonuses, and really remembering to be grateful and to communicate that. It's a huge motivator. I mean, the people that I work with tell me all the time, Anna, I like working with you because you make me feel valued. I've heard that many, many times, and they can be small jobs. It could be something that they work once in a while. They do a few events for me, but they keep coming back because they feel valued and respected. And I think that's the best way that I motivate the people that I work with. It's just, as simple as saying, thank you so much for the work you do. You're doing a phenomenal job. Or, don't get discouraged if an event doesn't go the way you wanted it to. But again, from experience, I mean, I've been on the other end where I'm the one, doing these events for another company. And I really try to make people feel that their time is really, really valued. And it's worked for me. I mean, I've had people that have been working with me since 2012, and they have, their full-time jobs and they have their, other commitments, but they still work with me because, well, it's beneficial, but not just in the financial sense, but in the sense of the relationship itself,
Yeah. How about you, Martha? When you do have people working for you, how do you keep them motivated?
Well, I mean, honestly, I think that working, trying to be respectful, working around their schedules, being someone that they can come and talk to, and we can, to move forward with what's going to work for both of us. I think that helps keep people motivated, right? Because now you're not just, one of, many unheard of people, in the background. Now you're someone that they're actually, actually listening to you. And hey, if you want to go to Disneyland on a weekday, I'm not going to, throw a tantrum or cut your hours or cut your pay on that. It's like, okay, you know what, let's, go ahead and take it. And, you'll still get paid for it. You'll still, we'll still continue on. And thank you for letting me know. And we'll make sure to, I know that that day is a day I'll cover the work that needs to be done that day, or make sure that we have it done beforehand so that it's not a huge bump in the road, but it makes them feel very valued because, now they get to spend maybe a afternoon with their child who is maybe on spring break or whatever the case is, on a vacation, break somehow from school, and now they can do something with them without it hitting their purse strings. Well, going to the place is going to hurt them, but
happiness isn't cheap, people. But you're both right. I mean, go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say, great pay and timely pay is also a really good way to motivate people. For me, it's like, I have a certain standard and I charge a certain amount so that I can offer something that's great for my contractor. So, I always think about, would I work for this? Would I work this event? Would I work for myself? And so that's another big thing. If you pay people fairly and more than they expect, and if you pay them timely and you're respectful of that, I mean, that's huge.
For those of you, people that have worked on events with me, I'm a kidder. I like to tease people, and so there's always people who know me for a long time know if I like you, I'm going to harass you. It's just the way it is. So just to keep the atmosphere easygoing, because it can get stressful sometimes. And everybody knows if you work with me in an event, at the end of the campaign, we're going to go out and eat, and it's usually like something fun. We can all just hang out. But it does motivate. But you're right. Motivation is, hey, I'm going to treat you with respect. I'm going to give you some time to do what you need to do. I'm going to pay you on time. And then people want to come back and work with you, even when you're not paying as much as you usually do. Like, people are flexible. We have a couple more comments. There's a Martha. Where's Martha? Martha says, sorry. There we go. Martha says, personas como ellas son las que necesitamos. Ejemplo que si se quiere, se puede. Yes, you're right, Martha. If you want to do it, you can do it. For those of you out there, no dejen que la gente te diga que no puedes. Sí puedes. Don't let anybody talk you out of your passions and your dreams. Don't live off of other people's insecurities. That's my point.
Yes.
What makes a persona successful? What makes a person successful? Martha, you want to take that one first?
Well, I'm going to tell you, personally, I felt that I was giving myself some kind of success when I wasn't so stressed about the following month to make everything, to pay everything. Like, oh, I have money to pay. That was probably the first time that, and again, that's my measure of me personally. I felt like I was successful at that point because I knew I was able to, work, enough hours doing, my work with my specific work, and I could support myself, and I wasn't stressed about, oh my God, how am I going to pay the light bill? Or, oh my God, how do I have enough money for rent? How about for next month? Do I have enough money for rent next month? Because that is, a reality when you go into business for yourself, is that initial, like, okay, am I going to have everything covered? And am I already going to start looking into, next month to make sure everything's covered? Once I had that security of, yeah, it's covered, and I have money coming in next month, and that's covered too. And I felt like I was actually successful. Now again, other people viewed me successful, just, not drowning, right? But I viewed myself
Yeah.
successful once I didn't feel like I was drowning.
There you go. How about you, Ana Maria? What makes you successful?
So for me, you're succeeding if you feel happy and fulfilled. It doesn't matter how much money you're making or how little, or what you do for a living. I do think that success is very much tied to how you feel about what you're doing, in that sense. And then if we're speaking about money, just a financial, like, what is success to me? I mean, I remember I started, 8 years ago, I started saving $300 in an envelope. And then I said, next month, I'm going to increase it to 500, and then 1,000, and then 3,000, and then 4,000. And I saved $4,000 extra a month on top of all my expenses for like 5 years. And then one day, my bank account was a number that I didn't even know was possible. And this was just from when I was someone else's employee. And I started feeling like sky's the limit. I don't really have, I haven't used a credit card because I needed to in 10 years, and I started, and this was when I graduated college, I started going, well, why can't, if I'm really disciplined, why can't I do these things, and it's very possible. It's so interesting how my perception of a successful salary or income is over the years. It went from thinking oh, if you make 3,000, that's amazing. If you make 10,000, that's great. If you can make 25,000, and it started because really the sky is the limit. If you understand, when Martha was saying, if you know how to work smart, right? So if I'm working for $100 an hour, less hours than if I'm working for 15, a ton of hours, right? And so to me, it was really validating that I could have this discipline of starting with a little bit and then really thinking and my expenses were not low. I mean, there were times where I was spending, we live in LA, welcome to LA. It's not inexpensive here. You can spend easily $3,000 just to live, rent, bills, whatever else. And it's absolutely possible. So instead of thinking, how can I afford this? It was more what do I need to make to afford what I want to do? And I would find ways to really make that happen versus limiting my life to an income that someone else has set. So this person said they're going to pay me, $5,000 a month. But what I want to do is I want to pay my bills and I want to save $4,000 a month. How do I make that happen? That means I got to make 9. So for me, my mindset changed from other people determining what my life was going to be to this is what my life's going to be. How do I make it happen? Yeah. And it makes all the difference. All the difference.
Yeah, it's huge. And for everybody who knows me, energetically, you've got to make peace with money. And that's another thing as a business owner. I had to make peace with money that because it's contract to contract, client to client, it's not going to be the same every month. And I have to be okay with that. But and success is measured in so many different ways. There's mental, material, and spiritual success. So stay in your lane, measure your own success. Don't compare yourself to somebody else because you don't know the amount of time that they've been in the industry or whatever business you're going to. Yeah. I've been in marketing for 14 years, and people sometimes oh, you go and do and talk to people this way. You do that. I'm like, because I've earned it. I've been in for 14 years. You can't come into this business today and expect to have that reputation. Like Martha was saying, you have to build it up. We have a couple more comments. I know we're running out of time, but la felicidad llega cuando podemos cumplir nuestras metas, vuela muy alto. That's right. Happiness, man, when we reach our own goals. And for those of you who do not do vision boards or manifest, do it. Let me tell you, it works, right? Like setting those goals. And we have one more question. What criteria do you use when you hire someone? Martha, you want to take that one first?
Okay. Well, I mean, my criteria is someone who is going to have follow through. And because obviously I need someone to make my life easier, not harder. So if they don't have any follow through, that means that I'm dropping everything I have to do in order to follow through with that. So I need someone who has follow through and who has a desire to learn more, because there's always new things and new opportunities in what I'm doing. And if you don't want to learn, then you're probably not the right person for this job. I'm willing to teach, but I'm also that person that I'm not going to force you to learn, and I'm not going to beg you to learn. So, if you want to grow, and then there's always room for growth. But I find people have a very limited idea of what they want to do, and they only want to fit in the box, and that's it. So, my issue is always finding someone who wants to think outside the box and who is hungry enough to, want to learn and soak everything up as much as they can.
Armandi?
Ooh, for me, attitude is a big thing. Someone's energy and attitude is huge. I mean, I have met hundreds of people who meet the criteria for what, the job description would be for some of the events that I do. And I don't know if I shared this, but experiential marketing is what my company does. And so it's basically, you're interacting with consumers the entire time and giving another person an experience. And so for me, when I see an email or when I have a conversation on the phone with, a prospect contractor, their rapport, energy, and attitude is huge, because you can have tons of experience and not really have that, just positive, infectious, attitude that is so successful when you're interacting with others. So, of course, as experience is big, I do want to work with people that know what they're doing. And even if they haven't been doing it for years, that have a really good sense of what the goals are. Just because, I have had the experience where I've hired someone who, was really like excited to do, but didn't really have the experience to fulfill the job. And so it matters. I definitely think that people can be given a chance and people can learn quickly. But I do think that depending on the project that you're working on, it's something really important to consider. But I mean, big thing for me is just, attitude and rapport and how someone responds to stress. It will happen. Life is life, and things get a little crazy sometimes. And so if somebody has a really great attitude and is focused on solutions and is, that's someone you can rely on. And reliability is huge. If you can't rely on the people that you work with, it kind of just creates a crack in your whole operation. So.
And remember, trust your gut. When you're hiring people, trust your gut. Because I used to go by resumes and be like, oh my God, on paper, you're wonderful. But the moment they talk, you're like, I know, papi, like this is not going to work. And then I'm a stickler for time, because I run all these live streams and they start on time. Yeah. If somebody, I do live by if you're on time, you're late. Yeah. So if somebody has an interview with me and they call me 2 minutes after the time, they're already late. I'm already like, I don't have time. So that's just me being a stickler. So if you want to work for me, be on time. That gets you we're almost running out of time. Do you guys have about 10 more minutes that we can answer a couple more questions and get to the next?
Yeah.
Are you good? Are you good? Okay.
Sure.
We have one more question. How do you feel about what you have achieved? Ooh, good question. Thank you, Victoria. Ana Maria, you want to go first on this one?
I feel very grateful. I'm really grateful to all of the people that have encouraged me throughout the years. My bio read, my professors are a big part of that. My parents are a huge part of that. My loved ones, everyone who's close to me, who has supported me and encouraged me, has made a huge difference. So I feel grateful when I think about, I started my own business. I have the ability to do things that I didn't think I was able to do, 5 years ago. I just feel really, really grateful, and I feel excited about the future, because, again, I kind of have this mentality of sky's the limit. I mean, if I can think it, I can make it happen. And so it's really rewarding, and exciting to think about, the next project or the next event that I'm going to be doing. And it comes from, I'm a theater performance major. So to me, it's like, I'm like high energy, meeting people, creating change, making a difference, and thinking about those things and doing that through my work is really just exciting and rewarding.
And for you, Martha, how do you feel about what you have achieved?
Well, I feel pretty proud. It's been a long road and very bumpy at times, but I am actually very thankful for where I am now, and I am thankful that you gave me the kick in the butt to get me to start this. So, I definitely, am thankful for the support I've gotten from, obviously family and friends. But I'm mostly thankful for just being able to accomplish and not giving up when it got a little too hard. And that's, because I'm going to tell you, some days I had to pull out from within and been like, you can do this, that self-talk is super important. And I am super proud that I have been able to accomplish what I have accomplished. And I'm not even halfway done with what I want to accomplish, but I am steadily proud of the steps that I've taken, and of course, the blessings and the abundance that I've received as well. So I would say, but the most foremost would be just proud of what I've been able to accomplish, because, well, you were there in the early years. It was not pretty.
I have to say I'm extremely proud of both of you, because you both have just succeeded in your areas, and I have received phone calls from both of them. This is why I chose them, because I knew who I was dealing with. I have received phone calls from both of them going, "Can we talk?" I was like, "Sure." And what was supposed to be like a 10-15 minute conversation went on for like 2 hours of like. But I'm a comadre. I'm a comadre. So let's be honest about this. Okay, there's a segment that I want to get to, but we have one more question from Jim. Jim says, "Is quality training a priority for you?" And Martha, you want to take this one first?
I don't think I am as revolved around training, because I'm a teacher, so I'm that over explainer that will explain to you every step of in the road, right? And I'll explain how to do it and why you need to do it, so that it will help you grow as a worker and as a person, so that you can get the experience that I need you to get. But for me, the training isn't necessary as long as you are hungry, as long as you want to be taught, as long as you want to do that and have that desire and that hungry. As long as hungry is definitely, because there's so many people that aren't, and they're not teachable. It doesn't matter if they went to school or didn't. Experience does play a huge part in things, and you don't get that experience without someone giving you that chance, and I understand that, but you have to be able to walk the walk.
Yeah. And for you, Ana Maria?
So for me, I mean, I never like to do anything without knowing exactly what I'm walking into. And so I try to manage the team that I work with the same way. So I do like to be very specific with information. I work with brand ambassadors that are contractors, and most of the time they know the work and they know the industry, so they know more or less what they're doing. But of course, every event and every campaign is different, and so of course you have to be informed, trained on whatever's happening for that specific project. And so for me, I'm very specific. So I'm like to the T. I'm the person that sees like the little black dot on the big old white tablecloth. Like I am that person. With OCD, I'm like,
Ay, 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 Maria, ya empezaste.
yeah, so for me, it's like, I would, I don't like stepping into a situation and not knowing exactly what I'm like promoting or what I'm trying to, express. You just look lost, like you're in the headlights. And so I try to give people the best, quality training possible with whatever project we're doing so that they're prepared. So I like to prepare for success, and I like to prepare others for success. I do think it's unfair sometimes, in our industry specifically, when people are not set up for success. They're kind of thrown into a project. It's like, well, do what you do, and they're not giving specific information or details to really succeed. So I think that as best as I can, I love to do that. And then of course, everybody takes that information differently, right? So everybody, has a different learning curve. But I do think it's important to put forth the effort to, to give people that I work with sufficient information to succeed.
So let me give y'all one more little point of what Ana Maria was talking about, like being prepared, and Marta was talking about learning. Like I definitely like when my staff takes an initiative to learn stuff. But here's one thing that I've done when talking to new clients. Like if I know the product that I'm dealing with, I will dress subliminally in the colors of their product so that they can already see me being part of their team. So for instance, I'll give you a quick example. If you're working with Coca-Cola, I would wear a red t-shirt over a white button up, and I already look like I belong with the brand. Just little tips, folks. Subliminal messages. It goes a long way. All right, so we're down to the last couple of minutes. This is where we kind of discuss words of wisdom. So I'll start with Martha. Martha, what words of wisdom do you have for young female entrepreneurs out there?
Don't be discouraged if you need to work a little harder in the first couple of months than maybe someone else to get what you want. Just push through the hard, and you'll see the light at the end of the tunnel. So push through.
Ana Maria?
Ooh, for me, I would say really find what makes you special. And every single person is special. There's something special about every single person. And sometimes we don't recognize that in ourselves. And I think that when we start really finding ourselves value or worth, what we have to offer the world, it opens up the doors to imagination and creativity. So, sometimes we think very logically, it's like logic gets you from point A to point B, right? But imagination, I think you can go anywhere. With imagination, I really encourage people to start exploring what makes you different, what makes you special, and what do you have to offer the world. And that in itself, just opens up the gate for opportunity.
Excellent. And as a man, hosting a show on Women's Day, I'd like to humbly offer some suggestions to all the young females out there who, because of COVID, have started a new job, or you're just new out of school and want to go. You don't have to be one of the boys. Stay you, be you, but learn the rules so you know how they're playing. That's really important. I've learned this watching females in my life that are very much their own person, but they know the rules and they know where they can bend them and they know where they can change them. But stay you, stay strong. We have one more comment before we go, and Daniel, thank you for the opportunity to listen to the experience of two wonderful women. Yes, they are wonderful women. Thank you, Victoria, for saying that. I want to thank Martha and Maria. Thank you so much for taking the time today. Happy International Women's Day. For those of you, if you know any women, go say hi to them. Thank them for everything they do, whether it's your mom, your sister, if you still talk to your art teacher in high school, send them a message and tell them how wonderful they are, what an impact they made in your life. Remember, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for a female. So it's very important to know that. Thank you so much, Martha. Drive safe. Be safe where you are. Ana Maria, I look forward to another chat with you sometime.
Yes. Thank you for having me. This was wonderful. Really appreciate it.
I'm going to put you on the green room for a second. Don't go anywhere. Let me just say goodbye to everybody. For everybody watching, remember this is put together a special episode. Remember that we have shows every day of the week. On Wednesdays, Christian and Daniel show. On Fridays, the Cardivo. And on Saturdays, put it together at noon. You can watch us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. And remember, if you're watching us on YouTube, scroll down, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. You can follow us, or you can catch up with us at littlemexicanproductions.com. Hashtag Little Mexican Productions Inc. For me, I want to thank you. We had one more coming. Oh, my sister was watching. Bye, Nancy. Thank you. That's one of the strong women that raised me. So I'm so glad she jumped in. That is one. So part of who I am today is thanks to her. So I really appreciate it. For now, I want to thank y'all for watching. Please join us again. If you're watching this live, this Thursday, March the 10th, I have a special episode with a friend of mine who is celebrating 10 years from being diagnosed with cancer, and he's coming to celebrate here with us. So if you're available, come watch it, and we're going to talk about his cancer and where he is now. I'll talk to you then. I'm Daniel G. Garza, and hey, put it together.